You are listening to the It's Your Time podcast, and I'm your host, Certified Life Coach Michelle Arnold Burke. In today's episode, we're discussing breaking generational patterns, the hidden fear of outgrowing your family. Welcome to the It's Your Time podcast, the podcast where busy professionals like you get the practical solutions and support you need to gain control of your schedule so you can strive to be the best in your career, but without the stress and overwhelm. If you're looking to increase your energy and decrease your stress, you are in the right place. Hello. Welcome back to the podcast, friends. Okay, so real quick, we are deep in Cancer season right now. Now, stick with me because even if you don't care one bit about astrology, even if you've never read a horoscope in your life, what I want to talk to you about today touches every single one of you, no exceptions. Cancer season is about home, roots, family, the emotional undercurrent running underneath everything you do. And today, I want to talk about the energy you inherited before you ever had a say in it, where that pattern actually came from, and what it's quietly costing you in your career, your body, and your peace right now. This is going to be an energy episode, which is always fun. So let's go ahead and jump in. Okay, let me just tell you a little bit about how this episode actually happened because I like to give you some insight as to how this brain goes sometimes. I was in class with my coach, Kathy Heller, and she was teaching on something that really landed. She was talking about why so many people stay stuck living the exact same life year after year and never actually going after the dream. And her take was, it's not always laziness, right? That's not what it is. And it's not necessarily a fear of failure. A lot of the time, on a completely subconscious level, we don't go after it because some part of us believes that if we do, we're betraying our family. Betraying might sound a little dramatic, but she explained why that makes total sense biologically. Our brains are wired to stay in the tribe. For most of human history, being cast out of the group wasn't just an inconvenience, it was a death sentence. So somewhere deep in your nervous system, there is old wiring that reads different from the people who raised me as dangerous. Not because anything is actually wrong, just because it's unfamiliar. And unfamiliar used to mean unsafe. So when you think about going after the bigger goal, the bigger version of your life, the thing that nobody else in your family has done, some part of your brain isn't thinking, oh, how exciting. It's thinking, wait, if I do this, am I leaving the tribe? Am I saying their way wasn't enough? Am I going to end up alone out there? It's not a weakness. That's biology doing exactly what it has evolved to do. It just doesn't know that it's 2026 and the tribe isn't going to leave you for dead in the wilderness anymore. And in that same class, Kathy brought up this book called The Third Door, and I started it, but I haven't quite finished it. So let's just take this as a work in progress. But the premise is that the author spent years tracking down people like Bill Gates and Lady Gaga to figure out how they actually broke through, like how they did it. And one thread that kept surfacing in those interviews was this idea that the hardest part of real growth isn't the hustle, it isn't the strategy, it's the people you leave behind. Not because you push them away, but because growth has a pace, and not everyone you love is ready to move at yours. Some of the people around you are not going to want to come with you. And that is one of the quietly brutal parts of actually changing your life that nobody really talks about. And I think that's exactly what keeps so many of us frozen. We'd rather stay small and stay close than grow and risk the distance. And it makes total sense. Our nervous system wants to remain comfortable doing what we know. But here's the reframe that I want to offer you today. And it's a piece that I really haven't stopped thinking about since this class. What if it's not either or? What if you moving forward, you going after the goal, the dream, the next level, doesn't actually betray the people you love? What if it's the exact opposite? What if your growth is what gives them permission or even just proof that the belief they inherited from their parents was never a life sentence to begin with? You going first might be the thing that frees them from a belief they never chose either. Now, let's talk a little bit about the neuroscience because you inherited more than just your eye color. There is real research on something called transgenerational epigenetic inheritance. In plain English, the experiences that your mother had, your grandmother had, even your great grandmother had can actually change how genes express in you. Not the genes themselves, the expression of them. Stress hormone regulation, threat sensitivity, how quickly your nervous system goes to red alert, some of that was shaped before you were even born. And on top of the biology, there's modeling. You watch the women in your family manage stress a certain way. Maybe it was overgive until you collapse. Maybe it was stay small. Don't outshine anyone. Maybe it was money is scary. Don't trust it. Don't ask for more than what's given to you. You didn't choose that wiring. You absorbed it. Before you had the language, before you had the ability to question anything, your nervous system was already taking notes on how the women before you survived. And that tribal wiring that Kathy talked about layers right on top of this. It's not just don't leave the group. It's specifically don't become someone your family won't recognize. Because if you change, on some old primal level, the brain reads that as risking the bond that used to mean survival. And here's the part that matters most. Survival strategies and thriving strategies are not the same thing. What kept your grandmother safe might be exactly what's keeping you small. And that's not a criticism of her. She did what she had to do with what she had. But you get to ask a different question now. Is this actually mine? Or did I just inherit it? So let's bring this into your actual Tuesday. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that many of you were raised by women who overgave, who made themselves smaller so someone else could feel bigger, who felt guilty for wanting more, maybe more money, more recognition, more freedom. And now here you are in the OR at 6 a.m. You're negotiating territory details. You're trying to ask for the comp plan that you actually deserve. You're trying to advocate for the promotion. And some old inherited voice is quietly whispering, who do you think you are? That voice isn't wisdom. It's inheritance, and it's not even fully yours. And I see this with a lot of women. They'll build an incredible case for why they deserve the bigger territory or the leadership role, the raise, and then freeze right at the moment that they need to actually ask for it. And when we dig underneath, it's rarely about the business case. Sometimes it's the tribal piece, just that quiet fear that reaching for more means becoming someone their family won't recognize, or worse, maybe someone that their family resents. You can have the skill, the numbers, the results, and still be operating on an energetic thermostat that was set by someone else decades before you were in this industry at all. And that's the inner energy piece. Your energy isn't just your calendar, your sleep, and your cortisol today. It's also the current running underneath all of that. And some of that current is inherited. So here's where we can go a little bit deeper. And I want you to just stay open for a second. I fully believe that energy runs in lines, family lines. And I believe healing isn't just personal. When you shift a pattern in yourself, you are actually shifting something for the women who came before you and the ones who come after you. And I love talking about generational change here. Your daughter, your niece, the younger woman you mentor at work, when you stop performing the old pattern, you make it just a little easier for them not to inherit it either. And this isn't about blaming anyone in your family line. Every single woman before you did the very best she could with the tools, the safety, and the permission that she had access to at the time. This is about you right now deciding what gets to keep traveling forward through you and what gets to stop here. Think of it almost like you're standing in a river. The water that got you here, that's not your fault, and it's not really even yours, but you get to decide what water keeps flowing downstream from this point forward. And go back to the idea from class for a second. The fear that moving forward means leaving people behind. What if, energetically, it's the opposite? What if every time you release an old belief, instead of performing it, you loosen that same belief just slightly for everyone else who's carrying it in the family line? You're not abandoning them by growing. You might be the crack of light that shows them it's possible to put it down today. That's you consciously choosing your energy instead of unconsciously repeating someone else's. So here's what I want you to sit with for this week. Here's a journal prompt for you. What is one pattern I learned from the women in my family that I am ready to stop carrying forward? And what would it mean if my letting it go actually freed someone else too? Think about that. What would it mean if you letting it go actually freed someone else too? And don't rush the answer. Just sit with it for a bit. And it might be about money. It might be about smallness. It might be about overgiving. Whatever it is, just name it. And naming it is the first act of choosing differently. And here's your one small action. The next time you feel that old inherited hesitation show up, right before you ask for something, right before you take up space, just pause and ask yourself, is this mine or is it inherited? That question alone starts to loosen the wiring. Okay, friends, that's what I have for you today. I love looking at energy in so many different angles. So if this one landed, please share it with a woman in your life who's ready to break a pattern that was never hers to carry as well. And let's meet back here next week. Remember, it's your time, so lead your life with intention. Make it a great day. Take care. Did you know you can take this work to a deeper level with me one-on-one? Go to michelleburtcoaching.com and click on Get Started to begin.